Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Grumman Pilots YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about Bob Stewart's hangar that was in Gadsden, Alabama. Bob Stewart was injured and a couple weeks later passed away from an infection. We lost him, and Bob was one of the Grumman gurus who traveled and helped people and was always offering advice. So when we arrived at his hangar, here's pretty much what we found. His brother was able to let us in, and we were able to go around the hangar and look at all the airplanes that were there, which ones were going to be salvageable, which ones were going to be projects and sold, and which ones were going to be fixed and get out of the hangar. Because on Friday, and this was on Monday, we got there on a Sunday. Friday, the lawyers were coming and they were going to lock the hangar, and what was left in the hangar was going to belong to the new owners. So there were 7 airplanes inside the hangar and outside that we worked on. This is Greg Amy's checkers, and it was just sitting in there along in all its pieces that Bob was going to fix and put back together but never got to. But the game plan was that we had a number of people who showed up: Hal Beauchene, David Beeman, Bob Hodo, Jimmy Candiletti, Garner Rice. A lot of people with Grumman experience showed up at Gadsden. Roscoe was the only IA, that was me, and we proceeded to organize what we had. We went through the hangar, we found what we had, we found all the pieces of where we were, and then the team began to go fixing all the problems. And here's a quick look at the Bob squad. Here's everybody. Hal Beauchene, forgot him. We're all standing around. And then Jimmy began doing what Jimmy does best: sanding and painting an airplane that needed it. Jimmy and I would go almost every night at midnight back to the hangar for 2 hours and paint or prime, because it was quiet, the air was still, and there were nobody out there to violate us for painting in the middle of the night. And so a lot of work was done on these airplanes, and slowly but surely they were completed one at a time, whether they needed a cylinder or they had the annual finish, the ADs done. And even though people would come and tell us, oh, this airplane's already had this done, we would verify it, stand by. So there was a lot of work there to be done. The good part about it was Jimmy was an A&P, and everybody there was mechanically inclined, and so that it was easy to give instruction to 1 or 2 people and have them complete a task. And it was in that manner that we concentrated on one airplane after the first couple of days when we had several airplanes ready. But as each airplane got finished, it was totaled, and it was taken out to the ramp and tied down, and then the next one was brought in, because there were airplanes out on the ramp that needed to be brought in and worked on as well. And all of this so that Bob's customers would not be disappointed when their airplanes were, sold on Friday night when the new owners came in and locked up the hangar and took possession of them. So it was get everything done by Friday and get out. And it was amazing, the outpouring of people. Now, here are some pictures of Greg Amy's project as it's set in the corner of the hangar. So we had a good turnout, and the people did a lot of work, and a lot of people worked late. We tried to get together every night for dinner. It didn't always work out. Here's Garner doing his thing. Watch out for the airplane behind you, Garner. Hal Beauchene. We had a really good time with these folks, and then there was one night, the final night, or maybe it was even Saturday, Dave took us into Birmingham and took us to a great barbecue place. So we had barbecued ribs, anything you could have wanted. It was a great thing, and it's very indicative of Southern people, especially those in Alabama, Mississippi, and Louisiana. But as we looked at things and took notes, those all went out to the fleet, and these airplanes went back to their owners. And for the ones that were finished annuals, they were even test flown. And we had people out working out on the ramp, doing work, and that was very nice. Here's David Beeman putting on a wingtip. But then the airplane was brought in with a tug, and it was finished up. It was a week-long project, and at the end of it, we had saved all of Bob's airplanes that were in there. They weren't going to be taken possession of, and thanks to Garner and others, we had the idea of a new organization, the Grumman Pilots Association, and that's what was formed out of this event. And that formed the Founders event that came up in Kentucky of 2014. Thanks for watching.